Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and yesterday I did a brief review of this Fallkniven DF24, DF24, which is a diamond sharpener. I really like this for getting tools back in the game, quick, simple, effectively. This particular guy is a Zytel plastic handle, and Zytel is an excellent material. In fact, it's what Falkniven uses for their knife sheaths. But then it uses the synthetic diamonds embedded into this metal matrix using a special titanium aluminum nitride process. And that's really the key to making one of these things last. Now, some people have said they've had things like this and they just didn't last very long. What's actually happening is as you use them, the diamonds can fracture, get a little smaller, but how well they're held into the matrix is how long the tool will last. So a really good one you can use hard and for a long time. A really bad one will go basically out of service, maybe after just a few uses, depends, because sometimes some companies just literally have a lightweight adhesive holding some diamond particles to a piece of metal, or worse, a piece of flexible plastic. But anyway, this one I do like. I want to go over a few of the other types of diamond sharpeners and explain why I like diamond sharpeners. Obviously there are stones. I use a lot of different stones, but one of the things with stones and diamonds is a diamond can have a very fine grit, like this is 25 micron, and still remove metal quickly. Whereas stones, if you have a very fine grit, 600 or higher, it takes a while, a lot of strokes to get the metal to come off. If you use a really coarse stone, 80 grits or 120 or something, what happens is you start removing a lot of material, but because it's so coarse, you have to do a lot of fine work in order to get a smooth blade. Now, I use these to get tools back in the fight. And what I mean by that is I'm not spending my afternoon sharpening for the fun of sharpening. I'm not trying to get a razor edge on everything. I'm trying to get a useful, safe cutting edge to continue whatever it is that I'm doing. I mean, I have sharp knives and I can put sharp edges on things. Like here's a knife. Get out my trusty Snap-on catalog. Somebody had mentioned, oops, need the wrenches. I don't think I'll buy Snap-on drill bits. So I'll just tear one of these out. So you might be thinking, about sharpness. This is sharp if you want sharp. If you want sharp, you can do sharp. This isn't going to last very long though. So if I need this kind of sharpness, I will actually be very careful with it and then keep it sharpened up so I don't let it ever get bad. However, I was using an old DeWalt hatchet, and that DeWalt hatchet, not only was it a mess, it was all beat up and it had tons of dings and divots in the blade, but the DeWalt hatchet also shouldn't be razor sharp. It's always fun, and I do have some pretty razor sharp Grand Force Brux hatchets, but that dulls really fast. And then it gets down to a working edge. So I'm going to talk about working edges. What I like about these is, let's say you're gutting an elk or something and you're halfway through and your knife is not functioning as well as it should. There are several choices. You can get out a set of stones or one stone. You can try to do it with a steel, and kitchen steels are great, and they're a lot cheaper often than outdoor steels. That can help it get back into a hone situation. Ceramics are really fine, so it's probably not going to do much unless the blade was not really dull, just a little bit out of hone. But if you use a diamond, you can use a very simple, fine or coarse and fine, or fine and finest, to get it right back in the game. These two are Lanskys here. I have others for larger jobs at home. I might use these. These are DMT diamond tools. Now they are on plastic. If you are really serious, you'll have one solid metal bar with the diamonds impregnated. But a really quality set of those can get expensive. Not that these $100 are cheap. Here's another Lansky. This one is a nice solid coarser stone. But what I like here is I've got a nice malleable ability to get this into tight places. Maybe I'm working on some garden shears. You can see these are kind of roughed up at the end, and and maybe I want to just tune them up. Just get these things back in the fight, maybe out in the field. Just throw that back in my pocket. Somebody said it looks awfully clean. Have you had it a while? I've had several of these things, but look at that. You saw how dirty it was. It's in my hand. So these things don't really hold the grit and look aged. I mean, I could scratch this up, I guess, if aging is important. But you see that right there? You know, it might look dirty. Now it's clean again. Get it all nice and polished. In fact, they get really smooth. This is actually a diamond card here, another DMT sharpening card for those Altoid survival kits. You know, that's a good one. But you can get this into smaller spots or just quickly work on an edge. Take a ding out. When I was a ski racer, we always had stones of various flavors handy, so we'd feel our ski edges, and the moment you'd notice something, you just start honing it. So that's where I've actually learned a lot of this. Ceramic is great. It's almost one step down from a strop. Actually, it is one step down from a strop. But the diamonds, they're just fast. They're quick to use. Here's a WorkSharp. This is a coarse diamond, a fine diamond. It also has ceramic and a stropping surface here. Notice it's got a 20 degree blade guide like it. Here's the Benchmade one if you like blue or just like Benchmade. It's the exact same thing, which allows you to do considerable amounts of sharpening across a lot of different platforms, little ones. This actually rotates too for various. You can see it's pretty, ceramic gets pretty dirty. And if you want, you can pop these out. This is the coarse one here, so I can actually go in and do some heavier work if I need to with this diamond. But this Fallkniven, this actually does an awful lot by itself. It's a lot less expensive. I think these are like 30 and 40 bucks or something like that. There's another kind of sharpener that's carbide, and that usually has a fixed V. Here's a Benchmade one. You can see it's at a set angle. It just uses a carbide blocks here bolted into it. There are different kinds. This one's more for broadheads, or this is actually a buck knife one. Never mind. I thought this was my bow one. And it's just a quick way, you know, that you can, you can slide this down a blade. It takes off a lot of metal. You know, it's not the best for your knife, but it gets things working very fast. I've got a larger one here. This one's for machetes and axes. If you want to, you know, get something back in the fight really quick, something like that, or just a plain one. This is a Corona, which is a gardening tool company. That this is a carbide cutter, so I can literally do the same thing here if I wanted to, you know, work on an edge. Now most things here are not directional, and the reason they're not directional is because there's no direction or orientation to the surfaces. Now some people think you should only go one direction or the other, or you should, like, you're slicing cheese or paper or whatever works. You know, yesterday I was doing it more in a circle. That comes from puck sharpening of axes or hatchets, where I'd be going in a circle because these are non-directional. What's important is keeping a set angle, and if you are all over the place with the angle, you tend to make kind of a convex cutting edge. And that's okay, because that's kind of naturally where we go. If you need, you know, I wouldn't want a convex cutting edge right here. However, on this knife, that's exactly what I'd want. A convex cutting edge is actually a very, very strong edge, but if you're trying to make it precise, it's much harder to do than, say, a flat grind or something. But a lot of us, by hand, we end up making kind of convex edges anyway, just by our natural rounding. What it ultimately comes down to, you know, is the amount of sharpness. Now, if I want super duper sharp, I'll go to something that basically is consumable or expendable, and that's like a knife like this or a knife like that. Although I do tend to sharpen these. In fact, somebody made a funny comment. I don't know if it was trying to be an insult or what. It was something like, this guy sharpens his utility knives. And I thought, yeah, I do. I've done that in videos. You know, is that like saying, this guy wears both suspenders and a belt? Yeah, so. But I guess there was some reason for posting that, but I thought it was kind of funny. I'll use an expendable one if I really need it that sharp, and I don't care. But otherwise, I want it mostly sharp. And that's where I end up going to something like this diamond file. Keep it handy. Don't let things get way too bad that you really have to take off some serious metal. I even don't use these when I need to take off a bunch of metal. They're just really harsh on things, but they're fast. So if you really have to get something back in the fight quick, you can learn to be really gentle with these, but still they are more, I don't know, more like emergencies to me, just because they're a little bit aggressive, a lot aggressive. But that's why I like these kinds of diamond files. You know, you learn to be kind of in tune with the blade, what it feels like. I mean, this blade, let me grab another piece of paper just to show you. What did I get here? Harmonic balancer. I won't be getting one of those anytime soon. So this is a big beefy survival knife. But you can see I've got this thing just razor sharp. But it's also a very thick blade. So you can get things that sharp, but once it gets to the point where it doesn't do that, that's not the end of the world. That's almost more normal. Having something this sharp is actually pretty rare. Most people don't carry a knife this sharp. Most companies don't sell their knives this sharp. This takes a little bit of work. You can see there's a little bit of scratching on that blade from when I've been working on it. But if it's dull just a little, then it's normal. So I don't actually worry too much about that kind of level of sharpness. What I want is to be able to touch it up and keep it safe and working sharp in the field at any time and across all kinds of different tools. And so that's why I have a lot of different sharpeners. But if I had to grab one, you know, and take off and go on a trip or something, it would probably be one of these. Except I really like these. These are just so much fun. These Fallkniven flipstones, I don't even know if they make them anymore. Little, like a switchblade sharpener. I'll get that. It's actually not the greatest shape to try to work with tools when you get into places. This is actually really nice. Anyway, again, I'll put links to a couple of these down in the notes. But I do spend a lot of time sharpening and touching up stuff. And this one has just risen to the top of the list. So that's why I decided to do a video on it. And with that, Doc out.